we have to in some way impose our individual will over our lives to survive and to make it. I don't know about you, but I just start to feel stressed, and my nervous system just doesn't like it. It puts me immediately into a survival-based response, and I'm overwhelmed because how can I, as an individual, navigate something that's so unpredictable to where my micro decisions are now influencing not just my experience of being human now, but my future? So when we explore this kind of ideology of, well, free will and you have to impose yourself over your life and it's all on you as an individual and you have to make these choices, it's no wonder that the peace that is our natural state has eluded everybody. It's no wonder. Leave me one areas in the chat if you're kind of beginning to get that sense that this notion of chaos, notion of randomness, that you have to remain hyper-vigilant, you have to make every choice and every decision, you have to advocate on behalf of every outcome, is probably the most taxing way of being. It's exhausting. Not to mention the fact that it doesn't allow the body to heal itself. It doesn't allow you to actually have any sense of enjoyment around your experience. And then there's the framework that we receive through everyone that's had some kind of an awakening, which is, hang on a minute, guys. There is some higher power at work here. Call it whatever you want. It doesn't matter. There is an organizing principle. Call it whatever you want. It doesn't matter. And that organizing principle is perfectly unfolding every area of your life. Now, I don't know about you, but I can breathe in that version of reality, where there is something greater than my limited understanding, something greater than my conditioned and programmed perception, something greater than my ability to reason, something greater than my ability to problem solve, something greater than this individual self that I created in order to survive, that's at play here. So when I accept that and I lean into that, it feels wonderful, right? Because now it's like, oh, okay, I don't have to use the limited finite resources that I've accumulated over the course of my life to navigate things that I am not equipped to navigate. So let's just feel into those things for yourselves. The first thing that I want you to feel into is, okay, everything's just random. You're in charge of everything. You have to impose your will over everything, because in the event that you don't impose your will over everything and problem solve every single thing, something's going to spiral completely out of balance. Like, just feel in your body what that feels like. Just feel in your body what that feels like. For me personally, it just feels stressful, feels overwhelming. Why even bother? It doesn't feel good at all. My nervous system is just tweaked. And you see, it's this ideology and this belief that the individual is fundamentally in charge of every outcome in life that is the reason why, as a species-wide phenomenon, we have not actualized our potential. So let's take a breath and just reset for a moment. And now let's just accept what we all know to be the truth, whether we fully accepted it or not. That there is some higher power, some organizing principle perfectly unfolding everything on our behalf. And what you are experiencing in your body is the direct impact of the limited notion of free will that people have held on to as the truth. And it's limited because it only exists at the level of the ego and the identity. And the broader aspect, that there is a plan, there is some cohesive journey, there is some perfect unfolding at work in all of our lives. For me, this is going to sound really weird. Before I was born, or shortly thereafter, two priests in a village in India, who've never met me, put my astrological chart together, and everything in that astrological chart has come true about me. I won't read it. My mother's read it. I won't read it. Don't need to know, right? I'm happy just living my life. How is it that if all of this hasn't already happened, that there's already a record of me? And not only is there a record of me and my entire life, but there's also a record of every significant major milestone that I've experienced as a part of my journey and as a part of my unfolding, and it continues to be true. So we have to evolve in our relationship with this illusion of free will. Because when you examine reality, when you're freed of the confines of the ego and the identity, and you give up the construct of false power, right? False power is like trying to exert some micro level of control over your life. Leave me a 1 or yes in the chat, you adorable human beings, if at some point or other you've tried to exert some level of micro control over your lives. You're adorable. Love you. We all have, right? Like everybody at some point has tried to exert some level of micro control over their lives. Okay, great. So we've all tried to do it, and yet life has unfolded in exactly the way that it was supposed to. And yet life has unfolded in exactly the way that it was supposed to. So after a while we have to realize that everyone's interpretation of free will is fundamentally incomplete. At the level of the soul, if you want to call it the soul, you and I are the same soul. Hi, nice to meet you. At the level of the soul, you don't need to have free will. In fact, you recognize it for the illusion that it is. Because at the level of the soul, when you're in that expansive vista, you can see that there is an inherent perfection at work. Even in the things that you don't like, even in the things that you perceive shouldn't exist, even in the way life is unfolding. That from that 30,000 foot view, when you observe the planet, you experience it beyond the egoic interpretations, the survival-based interpretations. And you begin to see that there is something greater at work in everyone's life, regardless of their belief, regardless of their religion, regardless of their spiritual experience, regardless of anything, that there is this unconditional, overarching presence at work everywhere. So what I would like to do is not waste time debating free will versus predetermination, because that's just an epic waste of time. We know from a neurobiological standpoint that actually surrendering to life, embracing life, accepting what's unfolding, allows us to respond to life, and it's far gentler and softer on our bodies than the alternative. And most of you know that because you've spent the majority of your lives doing the other, striving, attaining, clawing, scratching, fighting to get ahead. And all it's done is compromised you in some way, shape or form. And so you get to a place where you begin to realize, okay, hang on a minute, let's just take a breath for a moment. And I don't want you to just cognitively know this. I would like you at the beginning of a new year to accept this. And we'll do it together. You're not alone. Maybe everything that's supposed to happen this year has already happened. For you. And you don't have to stress over it, worry about it, manifest it, align your chakras in order to have it, sage yourself, smudge yourself, spin around in a circle 3 times, or dance around naked under the influence of any kind of full moon ever again. I know some of you will miss the full moon part, but just take a breath. Just take a breath. Let's just imagine for a moment that every single outcome that's supposed to unfold this year is already perfectly aligned with you, and that you don't have to stress over it. 2026 isn't a year that you have to survive. It's not a year that you have to overcome. That actually all of these other interpretations of reality came into being from people who hadn't experienced themselves as the soul. So can you see that the need to manifest is a purely egoic need? Can you leave me a 1 or yes in the chat if you see that? The need to manifest, the need to control, because the need to manifest is just the need to control, is purely a survival-based egoic identity, individual-based, disconnected, separation-based need. That is not actually a thing at the level of your innermost being. It's just not. It's not. So, why some of you struggle with this is because for the most part, people who are coming up with these things have not experienced the depth of themselves. They're not wrong. They're just commenting on reality from where they were or where they are. I can tell you this from first-hand experience. Once you've experienced yourself as the soul, you actually don't need to do anything anymore. I know, it's like cheating. And this is going to sound crazy. I get it. You begin to realize that life is just unfolding, and you're just in the experience of life as it's unfolding. You're not keeping yourself alive while you sleep. You're not facilitating your digestion, your respiration. You're not actually consciously involved in any function that is required to perpetuate your life. All of those things are happening automatically. And that actually there's a greater power, this surrendering of the illusion of personal power. You're adorable when you're in personal power mode. Well, I want it this way. But Panache decide, I want it this way. I'm going to make it this way. I'm going to meditate more. I'm going to visualize more. I'm going to sit there and meditate for 12 hours. I'm like, but that's 12 hours of your day that you can't get back. Don't worry about it. Just watch me. I'm going to sit there and meditate for 14 hours. I'm going to make it the way I want it to be. But doesn't that just sound like the tantrum of a child or an adolescent? Is that actually the maturity of the reflection of the soul? No, it's not. So just take a breath for a moment, because I know for so many of you this is like a radical thing. Maybe you're awesome, adorable, a one of one, and actually the technique and the modality required to live your life is you being you. That actually you're not incomplete, you're not imperfect, that everything that you have as a part of your human experience is actually necessary for you to live your life. You'll never be perfect for other people, but you can actually be perfect for yourself. And that's the opportunity. That's the opportunity. This year, can I allow my life to unfold? If I'm religious and I have a belief in God, then can I really be religious and surrender and trust in God? If I'm spiritual and I have this belief in some manifestation of the divine, can I then actually allow divine order to unfold on my behalf in my life? If I just believe in love and that love is the organizing principle behind everything, then can I empower that love to advocate on behalf of me, my loved ones, the planet, and everything else? So I've discovered that beyond the confines of egoic interpretation of reality or survival-based interpretation of reality, that's incessantly based in you needing to perfect yourself, fix yourself, heal yourself, become some better version of you, that actually once you free yourself of that delusion, you can begin to recognize that there is already an inherent perfection to you and to your life. Now, what allows me to say that? Hasn't every single thing that you've gone through in your life simply contributed to you being who you are now? Just leave me a one or yes in the chat. Hasn't every single thing that you've gone through, regardless of how you perceived it, the worst day of your life, the best day of your life, the average day of your life, hasn't all of that simply just contributed to you being who you are now? So then isn't the past just preparation for the present? And then isn't the present then just preparation for the future? Where is the mistake in any of this? Where's the error in you? Where's the flaw? That means that even the trauma, the abuse, the hardship, the struggle, the violence, the unpredictable nature of life in some way has contributed to you being who you are now. And here's what's amazing. Even the cancer diagnosis is perfect. Why? Because it is turning you back to the direction of yourself. It is forcing you to prioritize yourself. You only have the energy for you, and it is making you love yourself. So can you see that no matter what happens in your life, it's not against you. It's not something that you have to survive. It's not something that you have to overcome. It's something that you're going through. Now the question is, how do you want to go through it? By all means, you can sit there, get your crystals out, meditate for, 14 hours a day, trying to bend reality to your will, which is a very masculine approach, by the way. It's the force, right? We're trying to exert some level of force over our reality. It's like redirecting the natural flow of a river or a stream. It's a very man-made, masculine phenomenon. The majority of what we explore in spirituality actually is more feminine in its nature. It's like if the river is already flowing in a certain direction, why don't we just keep letting it flow in that direction? Because if everything has ultimately led to this moment, to us being able to be who we are, to be the way that we are, to live from the truth of ourselves, well then doesn't that mean that everything else that happens this year and next year and every other sequential year that follows is just a continuation of that same river flowing? You're here because you've never really resonated with anything. You've tried. I love you all. You've tried, but you haven't. You're also here because you've gotten confused as to what it feels like to be you and how to think, move, and act from the essence of yourself, as opposed to all of these other influences that you've had in your life. How many of you have noticed, this can sound really strange, I get it, I'm the designated crazy person in your life. How many of you have noticed that decisions kind of just make themselves? I have. It's called marriage. For those of you that aren't married, there is some other process, some other something that leads to the decision being made. Where we've gotten stuck, especially in spirituality, is that the ego has taken credit for the decision that was made. But then the ego also has to take the blame for the decision that was made. Instead of just getting it and realizing, okay, wait a minute, life is just unfolding. We know this, like there's a destiny here. There's a destiny here. That destiny allows me to accept the perfection of what's happening now, even if that's cancer. Right? Like for some reason, everyone's preoccupied with my dark circles. They're hereditary. My mother has them. I assure you, to the best of my knowledge, I'm not currently dying. I wish I was more preoccupied with the dark circles under my eyes than the rest of the world is. I even called my doctor. Seriously, you all had me freaking out. I'm like, excuse me. I recently did an interview, and there were some alarming comments about the fact that I have dark circles. Am I currently in kidney failure? Seriously, he said, no. I'm like, am I currently experiencing liver failure? No. Okay, thanks, doc. Seriously, I had to make the call. Anyway, I digress. So after a while we get to a place where it's like, no, life is just unfolding. Life is just unfolding. There's a greater life that's unfolding. There's a greater blessing that's unfolding, right? So let's take a breath. So let's come back to the truth. This year is going to go the way that it's supposed to. Are you going to let it? Because if you can flow with it, if you can surrender your need for some limited sense of personal power, you will discover a greater infinite power at work in your life that's beyond anything that you could ever imagine. And that greater power, that greater infinite power, my God, it sounds like these construction machines are farting. That greater sense of personal infinite power actually allows you to remain neutral. It allows you to relax. It allows you to settle into a year, and this year will be unlike any other. Why? Because you finally allowed it to be that way. Because you're finally allowing life to be the way that it is. And the entry point, for me personally, I'm not saying this is true for anyone, try it. The acceptance of everything as my destiny allows me to accept it as perfect for me. It might not be perfect for anyone else, but it's exactly what I have to go through. And then it allows it to be completed. If I'm religious, God's doing everything. If God's doing everything, then it's completely God's will for me. My acceptance of God's will for me liberates me and frees me. If I'm spiritual, there's a divine being unfolding everything, which inherently then translates as the divine order at work in my life. And that liberates me and frees me. If there's love at work, and love is the organizing principle, there's no belief in any hierarchical structure or form, doesn't need to be, love is wonderful, then love is unfolding everything for me. And that means that everything that happens in my life is a manifestation of love, even the stuff that I perceive to be not that great. But I can promise you this, and listen, we can all get to this ourselves. But how many of you can see that your best day and your worst day, that the sum total of your experience has led you to a deeper intimacy with your innermost being and a deeper sense of love and acceptance toward yourself? Leave me a 1 or yes in the chat. The cancer did that. The divorce did that. The financial upheaval did that. Being locked down in your homes for 2 years did that. Everything's doing that, right? So every single experience that we're having, I'm not sure what that machine is, but I love it. It's my new favorite. They didn't have that in Egypt when we were building the pyramids, because I just continuously would have been laughing the whole way through the process. That means that every single thing that's been going on, that's been unfolding, that's been happening, regardless of what, regardless of what it is and how it's playing out, is supposed to be that way. It's supposed to be that way. So this year, we're going to be like the dolphins at the end of The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. Thank you for the fish. Thank you for the experience. But instead of waiting until the end of the movie, before we finally just thank civilization and creation for the experience, we're going to start thanking it now. And I get it. Sounds a bit crazy. But at some point we have to realize that this is where our freedom comes from. This is where our freedom comes from. Our freedom comes from the acceptance of reality in the way that reality is unfolding itself. This is where freedom comes from. Freedom comes from aligning, surrendering this limited notion of personal will for a broader sense of an infinite power, a divine will that's unfolding, a universal unfolding. And that's how I want you to live this year. That's what's possible for you. And I know for some of you sitting here on the cusp of a new year, it's a bit of a stretch. I get it. But after a while, it won't be. It would just become natural because it is, right? It's just going to become effortless. So if you want to live with a fundamentally tweaked out nervous system where you have to exert micro-control over your life, then continue to live in the illusion that you have to manifest things, that you have to align your chakras, that you have to fix, heal, change, and improve, that you're imperfect, that you're fully incapable of living your life, and just continue to be stressed out, overwhelmed, and constipated for the rest of your lives. Love you. Mazel tov. Or you can accept the wisdom of the ages, what every great being has experienced who had some kind of an awakening, and you can finally, for the first time ever, actually enjoy the year, enjoy the unfolding of your life. And it sounds crazy to say this, but even appreciate the medical journey for what it's bringing you. Appreciate what you perceive to be a hard day for what it's bringing you. Appreciate the challenge, the strife for what it's bringing you. Because if everything is indeed unfolding through some higher architecture, right, than we could ever imagine, then isn't everything that's happening so that we can know the soul that we all are, you adorable being? We're all just manifestations of the same soul, you and I. Isn't that why everything's happening? Isn't that really why everything's going on? Isn't that really the invitation that every challenge or perceivedly or in our perception overwhelming situation gives us the opportunity to access? Everything's a point of initiation. This year is going to be no different. But what are you being initiated into? The truth. You're infinite, eternal, and immortal. You're sparkly, golden, pure love. Look at you. Adorable. Every single one of you. Adorable. How could anything ever be wrong with you? And even if you're currently going through something, there's still nothing wrong with you. Look at you. You're sparkly. There's infinite light shining out of you in every direction. I don't for one moment believe that you are this conditioned perception and delusion of yourself. I don't. You and I both know the truth. You're God, you're the divine, you're love, you're the soul. Nice to meet you. And this year, it's now time to just get on with living that way. It's just time to allow that to be true. It's time to allow yourself to have the most peaceful, relaxed, connected, aligned year of your life. Why? Because it's going to unfold perfectly, and all you have to do is lovingly respond from your heart. Lovingly respond from your essence. Be the truth of who you are. And I get it, stuff's going to happen. I understand. Some of you made it here because things were happening in your life. But maybe, just maybe, if we can accept them as a part of our destiny, then we can accept the perfection of them. And maybe if we can accept the perfection of it, then it just completes. Thanks for being here this morning. I love you all with all my heart. And I assure you, I'm not currently suffering kidney failure. I'm also not currently suffering from liver failure. I consulted a physician. I actually made the call just to make sure. And I love you all infinitely. My heart works just fine. Why doesn't dark circles translate into, wow, his heart chakra is working overtime. God bless him. Keep breathing, keep relaxing, everyone. Let's meditate, shall we? All right. Thank you, Laurel. Stop typing. Om Shanti. Wonderful. How many days have we been doing this for now, Laura Lynn? 1,630 days. Blimey. And it's only ever been day one for me. That's hysterical. We've been here for 2,124 days. That's amazing. Most of those consecutively, 7 days a week. Yeah. All right, everybody, close your eyes, open your palms, you beautiful, adorable humans. You don't have me fooled. You've got everyone else fooled. I know who you are. Let's get on with it. Good morning, sweet friends, and welcome to another Call to Calm meditation. Purely from a neurobiological standpoint, if I entertain the illusion that everything is pure chaos, and that I, 47-year-old man, with my limited perspective, limited perception, limited understanding, have to be in charge of every moment of my life, otherwise I'm doomed to a miserable existence. Even just feeling into that, I feel so much stress and overwhelm. I just want to see the white light with the tunnel and my ancestors and just leave my body, because what's the point? Just take me now. However, if I actually tune into the wisdom of the ages, and the wisdom of the ages is a wisdom that's born of direct self-revelation, direct experience of the truth, not some interpretation of the truth, but a direct experience of the truth. Well, then all of a sudden, everything starts to make sense. If you're religious and you believe in God, then everything's God's will. If you're spiritual and you believe in some divine power, then everything's unfolding in divine order. If you don't have any fundamental belief in any higher power, you just believe that love is the source of everything, well, then that's fine too. But that means that this year, the year of 2026, is going to bring you exactly what it's supposed to bring you. And the whole point of this year is to just have the experience of it. Now, when I tune into that, purely on a neurobiological level, forget about everything else that it does for me. I feel calm, I feel peaceful, I feel moisturized, I feel unbothered, unfazed. I feel wonderful. And here's why. Because our nervous systems have already been pre-programmed to accept the truth and respond in the presence of the truth. Close your eyes, you beautiful human beings, and take some long, deep cleansing breaths. Resting in the awareness of your breath transforms your life into a living meditation. Allowing your every inhalation and exhalation to supporting what you and I both know to be the truth of you. That you are not this finite form. You're not these emotions. You're not these feelings. You're not the current state of your mind. You're not the body. You're not this identity that you created in order to fit in and belong and survive. No, beloved. Who you are is infinite, eternal, and immortal. And with your every breath, recognizing that this truth translates as the felt experience of peace. Neutrality. An emptiness or a fullness. A stillness or a silence. That actually, when you come back to your breath, after a while, you begin to settle into the deepest experience of yourself. A peace that never changes, that never leaves you, that's always just patiently waiting for you. This morning, seated where you are or laying down, we're going to look back down the timeline of our lives and we're going to accept everything that happened as destiny, as an unfolding of a greater plan, that actually it was all useful, that what you perceive to be the worst day of your life, the trauma, the abuse, the violence, and what you perceive to be the best day of your life, the joy, the ecstasy, the bliss, that actually all of that has simply contributed to you being who you are now. This morning, opening our hearts to the journey that we've had, to who we used to be, how we used to feel. Because maybe in this moment, people all over the world aren't really relating to themselves as the truth of themselves. They're relating to themselves as a residual memory of themselves, specifically the parts of their past that they could not accept. And if it feels scary, I'm with you. We're all with you. Just simply accepting the past. And recognizing that all of it, every single part of it, has served one purpose and one purpose alone: to bring you to where you are now. So that you can know the infinite light that dwells within you. So that you can know the infinite love that you are. So that you can express this presence that people feel when they're with you. So that you can remind the world continuing to rest in the awareness of your breath. and accepting everything as just destiny. Why did that happen to me? Because I was supposed to go through it. If it's a part of my destiny, then it was always supposed to happen. Accepting the past in its entirety, because everything that happened in the past was always supposed to happen. Feeling this love, completing every single thing from the past that you've been unable to reconcile, that you've been working on, that you've been fixing, that you've been healing, that you've been changing, that you've been trying to understand, just so that you can finally accept that it happened. I love you, you courageous being. Just continuing to welcome every inhalation and exhalation, until all of a sudden, the past isn't incomplete anymore. It's actually perfect. And there's no reason to hold on to any energy toward any other person or yourself in relationship to it. Because it happened. And it happened because it was supposed to. In fact, feeling this thing called past, the residual memory of yourself, just dissolving, it's almost like not accepting it was keeping it all alive. And accepting it has now just facilitated the completion and the integration of it, so much so that even though the memories may exist, there is no longer any emotional charge associated with any of them. Yes, it happened. It happened so that you could complete it. And you didn't just complete it for you. You're completing it for everyone. Just taking some breaths. And maybe for the first time ever, experiencing and feeling a sense of clarity within yourself. It's not muddy, it's not muddled. There's no dissonance. There's just clarity. There's a freedom. It's almost like, and this is going to sound strange, you're maybe for the first time ever just fully you and here, experiencing. Just taking some breaths. And gently and slowly just coming back to your body in the room that you're in. And just noticing how you feel. This is such a perfect manifestation of life. We can go from construction vehicles that make seemingly fart noises to being serenaded by a bird. This is life. This is why we come here. To have the experience. To be ourselves. And this is why this year is going to be your greatest year ever. Not because you're going to accomplish something, or strive hard, or micro-control the living daylights out of your reality. God love you. But because you're going to recognize that actually the year that you're about to have is the year that you're always supposed to have. So today, as much as possible, recognize that every single thing that you're experiencing is just destiny. When an emotion arises, why are you experiencing it? Because you're supposed to be. When a feeling arises, why are you experiencing it? Because you're supposed to be. When thoughts arise, when you start engaging at the level of the mind, in case you still have one, why is that happening? Because you're supposed to be. Destiny is an entry point into completion. Because if it's all inherently our destiny, then no matter how it goes, it's always perfect for us. It's moving us closer to our hearts, closer to love, closer to the truth. So allow the energy, the vibration, the opening of this morning to stay with you throughout the day. And what you're going to recognize is that you're going to be freed of the need to do 99.99% of the things that you used to do in relationship to your life. Because you were hypnotized, bamboozled, and brainwashed into believing that you were imperfect. Well then naturally, you then concluded that life was imperfect. Now that you're freed of that delusion and that hypnosis, and you can now accept the fact that you're adorable, look at you, there's golden light shining out of you in every direction. I mean, come on, couldn't be more infinite if you tried. Now, you can finally accept the fact that there's some perfection to your life. Now here's the most interesting thing. This isn't a license to be a jerk. Actually, when you finally accept the predetermination of things, more often than not, you're coming from your heart. And then you could never do anything that would violate the balance or the harmony of life itself. Because you are everyone and everything else. So, send you all a big hug from me. Today's Wednesday. I love you all with all my heart. It's another day on planet Earth. Get out there and accept everything as your destiny. Thank you to the construction crew, especially the construction vehicle that was making fart noises. It's amazing. And thank you to the bird. Thanks to life. Thanks to 2026. And we're going to recognize that 2026 is a perfectly unfolding part of our destiny, that no matter what it brings us, we're fully equipped to experience it. And regardless of what the experience is, it's only ever moving us closer to our heart, to the love that we are, to who we really are. So just try it today, okay? If you're in Impact, we've got our first semi-private today. Impact is a wonderful 3-month journey that we embark on together at the start of every year. And so if you're in Impact, we've got one of our first semi-privates today. Super excited about that. Looking forward to seeing you all. And that's about it. I'll be back tomorrow. Monologue, meditation. Another opportunity for us all to commit, to be consistent, and to repeat the truth of ourselves. And remember, this year is going to be the greatest year of your life. Why? Because you're finally going to allow it to be. Take care, you beautiful humans. I have to go get back to my day job of Uber driving. I've already been hailed for my first ride. My children are anxiously waiting for me to do the school run. Catch you later. I love you all with all my heart. Thanks for being in my life. And I promise you, I'm not dying. Not that I know of. My dark circle's not an indication of liver or kidney failure. And that has been authorized and validated by a physician. And numerous blood tests. I love you all with all my heart. Love me, love my circles. Bye everyone.